Gil, do me a favor, just send that stuff to my father.
All right, thank you, everybody.
I just want to see the cutoff.
As you can see, we do not have a quorum here tonight. We have 3 members of the planning board. So there are certain things on the agenda that we will be able to get done tonight. There are certain things that we will have to continue. So as of our meeting that was recorded for June, we had the prior chairman, Mr. Carroll, his term had expired. So although he sat on the board and voted, he was not a voting member. So to keep everything on the up and up, what we've decided to do is re-vote on the prior June meeting issues and topics, even though all were unanimous in a 6-0 vote. Just to keep everything, above par, we're going to re-vote on those. So the first thing I would like to do is take a vote to reorganize the board. Would anyone like to make a motion to nominate a chair?
I would like to nominate a chair.
Who would you like to nominate?
I move to nominate Anthony Gregorio as chair of the planning board.
I will accept the nomination. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes with a 3-0 majority vote. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the May 8th, 2024 meeting?
You do the same thing
Yes.
you got to do the same thing for vice and for clerk.
Oh, that's right. We should also take a vote on a vice chair. I would like to make a motion to nominate Jason Bernhard to be vice chair.
I second the motion.
I accept that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we would also need to nominate a clerk. I would nominate Lisa Sheehan, if you're willing to accept the nomination as clerk.
I accept the nomination as clerk.
Do I hear a
second
second?
that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Minutes from May 8th, 2024. Last month we reviewed, and in a 5-0 vote, not including former Chairman Carroll, the motion was accepted to accept the minutes as written. Would anyone like to reaffirm accepting the minutes from May 8th?
I will reaffirm accepting the minutes from May 8th.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We also needed to designate a board member to the Master Planning Committee, previously held by Mr. Carroll. At the meeting last month, I made a motion to nominate Lisa. I will make the same motion again tonight.
Second that.
Lisa, do you accept the nomination?
I do, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimous with a majority 3-0 vote. On the June meeting, excluding prior Chairman Carroll, there was a 5-0 motion to release the remaining tripartite bond for Rowell Lane, Blue Haven, as requested by Middleton Living LLC. I will make the motion to reaffirm that decision.
I will
Second that.
Yes. Okay.
Board member. You can do it, you can make the motion, but usually, you ask for a motion from.
Okay. I will accept a motion to
Release the bond.
release the bond. Would anyone like to make the motion?
I'll make their motion to release the bond for Middleton Living LLC for Rowell Lane.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For the ZBA recommendations, we have the first one that we discussed last month. Again, it was not excluding former Chairman Carroll, a 5-0 vote in favor of a positive recommendation to the ZBA for the reconstruction of a non-conforming structure at 22 Riverview Drive. Would anyone like to make that motion this month?
I will make the motion for the special permit to reconstruct the non-conforming building at 22 Riverview Drive.
And that was a
For
positive
favorable-
recommendation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The second ZBA recommendation that we reviewed, again excluding former Chairman Carroll, with a vote of 5-0, we made a positive recommendation to the ZBA for the special permit of 177 North Main Street. Would anyone like to make a motion this month regarding that?
I'll make a motion to accept recommend special permit for placement of 2 automotive lifts at 177 North Main Street.
I'll
For a
second
favorable
that.
recommendation to the
Favorable
ZBA.
recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously again at 3-0. All right. Working our way into the updated agenda. The next topic we have on there is a public hearing for 141-143 Essex Street, modification of the special permit site plan to adjust the square feet and alter the driveway. So although it may be considered a minor modification to the site plan, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open the public hearing. We do not have any members of the public here, so we are not able to make a decision on this tonight with only 3 members of the planning board. We would need a 4th in order to have a quorum. So I would like to continue the public hearing to a Zoom meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, July 16th. Would anyone like to make a motion to continue the public hearing to that date and time via Zoom?
I will make a motion to continue the public hearing to June 16th at 6 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The public hearing will resume on Tuesday via Zoom at 6 p.m. Sorry for all the 0 people in attendance for that.
Mr. Chair, I'll set up the Zoom link and
That would be
prepare all the
Send it
information
out.
so you,
Yeah.
and send that out a couple
This
of
will be
days.
duly posted, I believe,
Yep.
more than 48 hours in advance of
Yes.
that meeting. So anyone who wishes to attend can certainly join that Zoom call, and the link will be available on the town planning board website. The next portion was the Southern Essex Registry of Deeds annual signatures. I believe we signed that last meeting.
Mr. Chair, if I may, through the board, you're all set on that.
Okay.
You have a ZBA recommendation somewhere in that agenda for the common driveway that the ZBA is considering. That's just a ZBA recommendation like the other ones you've done tonight, so it only requires 3 of you, a majority of the board, if you vote unanimously. So that's a favorable recommendation you're considering to the ZBA for the modification of the common driveway for the special permit the ZBA issued on that under the zoning regulations.
So,
Is that the subdivision not approval A&R? That's not the A&R plan,
No.
correct?
No, that's been pushed off.
that's the driveway.
Just looking for that.
Should be on the agenda, if it isn't, then we'll have to take it up. ZBA recommendation for 141 Essex Street.
The special permit
Yeah, but that's
modification for the
also
driveway.
part of the public hearing.
141 for A&F Realty Partners LLC, special permit modification.
So that's just a recommendation of the ZBA, they're the permitting authority, they issued
Perfect.
special permit. It's one of those weird ones where it's bifurcated.
Yep.
So they
Yes.
have authority on that.
So it looks like this is a straightforward special permit modification, like you mentioned, to move the driveway, the common driveway. It's not to be accepted or owned by the town, so it's not a huge concern for the community. The use of common driveways is generally covered by the condo or the homeowners association, so the maintenance will not fall on the shoulders of the town. There has been no public comment I see on this one so far. And let's see, I don't see any fire comment.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, through you to the board, the fire department has given a written consent that they have no issues with the modification. And we did review it with the design review group yesterday, and there were no issues that they wanted to identify. So recommendation would be to submit a favorable recommendation to the ZBA.
Thank you. Yep, and just to read that into, I see that here, just to read that into the record, I do see an email from Chief LaCoste saying the fire department has no issues with the revised plans. Would anyone like to make a recommendation to the ZBA for the special permit modification of the driveway?
I would like to make a positive recommendation for the special permit of the modification of the driveway at 141 Essex Street.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes at 3-0. And car shield special permit recommendation, we did that one, correct?
What address?
2 DeBush Ave?
No.
That is one you haven't taken up yet, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So this is an application for a change of use to allow additional services under the zoning bylaw table of uses, Chapter 2, Section 10. The business operator wants to expand his services to include weatherization wrapping for boats and other vehicles subject to outside storage. The location is in an industrial district, and it lends itself well to this. Anything trailered to be serviced by the use has ample room to maneuver in and out of the industrial park. Typically, the activity itself occurs sporadically during the year, so it's not an ongoing use that needs to be monitored.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, through you to the board to elaborate.
Sure.
So, I guess a little bit misleading of a description by me, but it's not so much shrink wrapping for boats, but it's a weatherization application, and it can be for boats, but it's sort of this clear material that goes on cars, high-end cars, and to protect it from the weather and
Yep.
dings and things
Red
like that.
scratches.
It's a protective coating.
Yep.
And it could be for boats, and it could be, but it's actually more likely to be mostly for cars, for high-end cars. So that's what I understand. But
Perfect.
either way, it's not much of an impact. And
So-
trailers, it's unlikely.
So it's just to prevent those things.
Yeah, well, this.
Take on thing. It's not a contraption.
Yeah, so it's not like
So do they
a,
have a clean,
go ahead. It's not like a wax, right? It's just like it's a vehicle wrap. You can wrap it with different colors, I believe, too, right? So it's
Yeah.
not just for protection purposes, but also, an older car that's, may have some scratches, rather than doing like a clear coat over it or, repainting, I think it eliminates some of the imperfections that,
I think it's mostly that.
Yeah.
In any case, it's really no impact beyond what he's already doing, as far as we can tell. And the DRG that met yesterday didn't have any issues with it either, so.
nobody has an issue.
any questions or comments from the board?
Nope.
Would anyone like to make a recommendation to the ZBA for the special permit for use?
I would like to make a positive recommendation for the special permit for use at 2 DeBush Ave for the coating wrap.
That was a positive recommendation?
Yes.
For the use? Do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Any reports from any committees?
Nope.
No updates? Mr. Planning Director, Chris, what do you got for us? Any,
I pushed off the planner's report. I will have plenty to cover, but with the recalibration here, I wanted to just take care of business. But at our next meeting in September, we'll be talking about some of the priorities and initiatives and things that you can consider. Obviously, your priorities are what matters, but there are some town priorities. The North Main Corridor Study is an economic development strategy study. The town has $50,000 in a grant for. They want to get going on that, the selectmen and the town administrator. So I'll be talking in depth about that in September. And what will be the ask of the board at that time? It'll be a recommendation for who goes on the task force. And, you know, there should be someone from the planning board, as many members as you like, obviously. But it'll be sort of a, you know, evaluation of the corridor, how it can be improved. You know, the stuff that goes on out there, there's all sorts of less than higher and better uses out there. Nothing's really consistent or coherent. So some kind of strategy to maybe incentivize better uses and
different
you know,
businesses
a
to
better
come in?
corridor for the community.
Yeah, yep, that makes sense.
That's about it.
Yep. Yeah, you know, offhand, I agree. I think a planning board member should definitely be on there. I would say probably a member of the finance committee as well, a member of the select board, ZBA, probably 2 at-large members. What's that? Is that 6?
Yeah.
I would say at a minimum. I think that's, you know, a good start.
Yeah, and that's what the recommendation would be.
Okay.
I'll sort of pass that information along and have a lot more information for you in September, and we'll get that geared up,
Perfect.
as well as talk about some of your other priorities that you want to work on, and
Yeah.
which is what I'm here for.
Thank you for prepping us on that, so that, you know, we've got some time to think. If you guys can think of any other players that should be at that table for that committee, you know, something we can put some thought into for the next meeting in September. Also, like I mentioned this to Chris as well, to prevent what happened from last month from happening again, you know, Brian Carroll is still listed as chairman on the planning board website. And it shows term expires 2024. So I don't believe anyone here maliciously voted in the last meeting. I think it was an oversight of, you know, innocence. There was no one that was trying to be malicious, and there was no malicious intent. So I made a recommendation through the town website to the website administrator that all boards and committees, not just the planning board, should have the members updated regularly. And in addition to it just saying the year that the position expires or that term expires for an individual, it should give the month and the date. Similar to what we have on our certificates, you know, when we're sworn in at the town clerk's office, it gives you June such and such date of when your term expires. The website should be indicative of that as well, to try and eliminate what happened last month with someone who is no longer a member voting and being on the panel.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, just to add to that, I am, from what I understand, supposed to be the person responsible for maintaining the ZBA and the planning board web pages. I, to this day, have been trying to get the credentials to get in there and be able to update the information. I have not been able to do that.
So my recommendation is sitting there somewhere. Wait.
Okay. But, you know, it should be my responsibility, but I have not been able to.
Okay. And we understand that, you know, you are drinking out of the fire hose still at this point. You know, you just landed here with us, and we're grateful to have you here. We went several months without a town planner. So mistakes like that can happen. To avoid it in the event that, you know, something like that were to happen again and we end up having gaps, you know, there's additional ways for people to know when a term would expire. So thank you for acknowledging that, you know, that you'll update that once you get credentialed.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I just need some assistance that I'm
Yep.
working on.
Very good.
Yep.
Any other questions or any other items that we didn't anticipate or wasn't on the agenda?
No, I'm not here.
All right. With that, I make a motion to adjourn, and I will see you guys next week on Tuesday for the continuation of the public hearing. Thank you.